You just got your first drone, or you've had yours for a while and you're wondering why your footage doesn't look like the ones you see on Instagram and TikTok? Here's the thing, getting cinematic drone footage isn't about having the most expensive drone, it's about a few key principles that I'm about to break down in this video in the simplest way possible. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to plan your shots, what settings to use, and what movements create that wow factor we all look for in drone videos. Let's dive in. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is that they show up at a location, just fly up the drone and try to get cinematic shots. And a lot of the times they're just wondering to film or how to film it. I used to do the same thing, and I used to come home with a memory card full of clips that didn't really go together. Here's what changed everything for me: planning before I fly. Let me walk you through my exact process. Step 1, scout your location. Use Google Maps. Before I even leave my house, I'm on Google Maps and I'm looking at the satellite view. I'm looking for interesting subjects to film. Maybe it's a winding road through the forest, a lake with a small island, or an interesting building. I literally screenshot these spots and save them. Step 2, check for existing content. I search Instagram and TikTok for that location and what other people have filmed there. I'm not copying them, I'm just getting inspired and thinking, okay, they did this shot. What if I did this from a different angle or at a different time of day? Step 3 is to plan your specific shots. Here's a game changer. I make a list on my phone. Something simple like spot 1, low orbit around the trees. Spot 2, top down of the waves. Spot 3, reveal shot rising over the ridge. Step 4, time of day matters. Golden hour. That's the hour after sunrise or before sunset, and it's your best friend. The light is soft, warm, and amazing. Midday sun, it's harsh and creates strong shadows. Not ideal for cinematic footage, but you can still get some cinematic footage at those times. Step 5 is checking where you fly. This sounds boring, but trust me, knowing where you can legally fly, what time of day there's a lot of people visiting that spot, and where you can park saves you so much time and stress. You don't want to be scrambling around looking for parking, for example, during golden hour. Now, why is planning so important? Once you get to your spot, you fly, you get the shots that you want, and then you land and move on to the next spot. This way you also save a lot of battery. And when you're editing, you know that these clips are going to go well together because you already planned the sequences before you went out to film. This is a total game changer. Now, the next part is understanding frame rates. Now, this confuses a lot of people, so I'm going to make it as simple as possible. Frame rate is how many individual images your camera captures every second. The most common ones you'll see are 24, 30, and 60 frames per second. 24 frames per second, the cinematic standard. This is what movies are filmed in. It has a slightly dreamy film-like quality that our eyes associate with cinema. If you want that professional movie look, shoot in 24 frames per second. 30 frames per second is the smooth middle ground. This is slightly smoother than 24 frames per second and is great for general content. It's what most TV shows use. If you're filming in something with moderate movement, 30 frames per second works great. Here's where it gets fun. If you shoot in 60 frames per second, you can slow your footage down to 50% speed in editing if your project timeline is 30 frames per second. But it gets even slower if your project timeline is 24 frames per second, and it'll look buttery smooth. Now, if you want to display everything in normal speed, I recommend shooting 24 or 30 frames per second, but if you want to slow things down, shoot in 60 frames or higher. Now, I mostly film in 30 frames per second and 24 frames per second, and it depends what I'm using the footage for. If I'm filming for Instagram, I usually shoot in 30 frames per second. I do film in 24 as well for Instagram and TikTok too, but 30 frames is what I usually film in. If your editing timeline is 30 frames per second and you're going to export that footage in 30 frames per second, and you add a clip that is filmed in 60 frames per second, you have the option to slow down by 50%, or you can just leave it there and it will play it back in normal speed as 30 frames per second. Keep it simple. For normal shots, film in 24 or 30 frames per second, and if you want slow motion, film in 60 frames or higher. I would recommend watching a video dedicated to explaining frame rate so you have an even better understanding. Oh, one thing I do want to mention is that when you're filming in, let's say, 30 frames per second, you want to set your shutter speed at 1/60, which is double your frame rate. Same thing with 60 frames. If you're filming in that, you want to keep your shutter speed at around 1/120. This is called the 180-degree shutter rule, which gives you that cinematic, natural-looking motion blur. And in order to get that, you need to use ND filters. I made a couple of videos explaining the exposure and how to get motion blur in your footage. I'll make sure to link it in the description. Now, the next part is color profiles. Now, you've heard a lot of people talking about D-Log or D-Log-M, especially if they have a DJI drone. And let me quickly explain what this is and why this matters. What is log? Normally, your camera processes the image and makes it look vibrant and contrasty straight out of the camera. That's the normal color profile. D-Log, for example, that is log footage on a DJI drone, is a flat color profile, which means it looks washed out and gray when you first see it. Now, why would you want to film it than this. This captures more information in the highlights and shadows. Think of it like this. Shooting in D-Log gives you more flexibility to color grade your footage in editing. You can make the sky more dramatic, the colors more vibrant, or create a specific mood. Now, the simple truth is that if you're just starting out, don't stress about shooting in D-Log. Shoot a normal color profile and focus on getting great composition and movement first. D-Log requires color grading, which is a whole skill in itself. But if you're ready to level up and want that extra control over your image, try shooting in D-Log M, which is a bit easier to grade than regular D-Log. So both these color profiles, D-Log and D-Log M, can film in 10-bit color. Now, 10-bit color gives you over 1 billion color gradients to work with compared to color profiles that are 8-bit, which gives you about 16.7 million colors. So when you push the colors more in an 8-bit color profile, you'll see some banding there. But you can push the colors much more in 10-bit color profiles. You don't have to film in D-Log or D-Log M. You can film in the normal color profile and then just push the colors a little bit. For example, you can push warmth in the highlights, cooler colors in the shadows. I would recommend not to oversaturate your footage. Now, I recommend that you choose a manual shutter speed and leave it at that. Same thing with your white balance as well, including your ISO, so your exposure doesn't fluctuate when changing scenes. Now, if you're interested in a separate video where I show you how to color correct and color grade D-Log and D-Log M footage, let me know down in the comments below. If more people are interested, I'll work on a dedicated video. Now, the next part is cinematic movements. Okay, this is where the fun happens. If your movements are boring, then your footage is going to look boring as well, even if your settings are on point. So let me break down some movements that create that cinematic look. The slow forward push. Simply fly forward slowly while slightly descending or ascending. It's simple but looks incredible when done smoothly. The second movement is the orbit. This is where you circle around a subject while keeping it in the center of your frame. Now, a lot of DJI drones these days have the options of active track, POI, which is points of interest, and spotlight mode. So you can tap on a subject and it'll keep it in the center of the frame, and you can choose POI and choose the direction, the speed that the drone moves in. Something I would add to this is you could move forward or backward or ascend and descend at the same time to give some more movements in that orbit shot, and it'll look even more awesome. Now, I usually get these shots manually because I've been flying drones for a while, but you can just use this feature and it'll be awesome. Now, something else you can try is also to just tap on a subject and put it in spotlight mode. The drone will make sure to keep that in the frame while you perform different movements. The reveal shot. Start low behind an object, maybe a tree or a hill, and slowly rise up to reveal the scene beyond. This is such a powerful way to start a video sequence. It creates anticipation and pays it off. The top down. Point your camera straight down and fly over your subject. This works amazingly over forests, water, roads, or really any repeating pattern. It gives unique perspective that ground cameras can't achieve. Now, if you notice some nice symmetry on the ground, use this top-down shot, and you can get really simple and cinematic with this. For example, if you just let the drone hover with the camera pointed down, you can walk into the frame, or you can just have the drone move forward while you're in the frame, and that looks amazing. There's a ton of different movements that you can use where you're pointing the camera up, down, and you're making certain movements. So use these basic ones and get creative. Now, one thing I want to stress on is fly slow. Put your drone into CineSmooth mode and fly slower. Cinematic shots are slower, so make sure you're flying your drone smooth and slow. That's what's important. And something else that's important is just because you have a drone doesn't mean you should always fly high. Some of my favorite drone shots I've gotten at about 30 feet and it looks amazing. Now, the next part is composition. Let's quickly talk about what makes a shot visually interesting, because movement alone isn't enough. The rule of thirds. Most drones have a grid you can enable on your screen. Place your subject where the lines intersect, not in the dead center. This instantly makes your shot more interesting. Horizon line, put it on the top third or bottom third, not in the middle. Leading lines. Look for natural lines in the environment, roads, rivers, fences, tree lines, and use them to guide the viewer's eye to your subject. Including something in the foreground adds depth. Maybe it's tree branches at the top of your frame or rocks at the bottom. It creates layers that makes the shot feel three-dimensional. The human element. A landscape is beautiful, but a landscape with a person hiking through it tells a story. So the battery on my mirrorless camera just got over, so I'm here filming on the Osmo Pocket 3. I thought we could have a nice fireside chat. So much for planning, right? The thing that a lot of people don't do is use their histogram. So make sure to use your histogram to see if your image is overexposed or underexposed. And this is a common mistake that a lot of beginners make, is over editing. You don't want to oversaturate your photos and video. You want to give specific colors and just make it pop. And just because you can add speed ramps and quick cuts and transitions doesn't mean you always have to. Sometimes simple cuts with good music just does the job. Well, that's everything you need to know as a beginner to get cinematic drone footage. The difference between amateur and professional looking drone footage isn't your gear, it's knowledge. And now you have that knowledge. And also, if you have any questions, please leave them as comments, or you can always send me a DM on Instagram. I just created a new account on Instagram. I'm going to put it up here. So make sure you follow me and also tag me in your footage if you want me to take a look at it as well. I would love to do that for you. I started off flying drones with absolutely no knowledge in what I was doing. I started off with a Mavic Mini, and it's been a long journey, and I've learned so much, and I'm happy to share all what I've learned so that you can also improve your drone footage. If you found this helpful, smash that like button and also subscribe for future tutorials. Make sure to share this with a friend who could use this knowledge as well, and drop a comment. Let me know what you're planning to film next. Now, get out there and capture something beautiful.